Well, I have a
We're
notification that says
live.
we're live. Hi, Scott.
Hey, Dave, how are you?
I'm glad to be with you here again today.
Yeah, it's always fun. Always my pleasure.
You meet my
Hey,
friend
everyone.
Clyde? Have you met my friend Clyde?
Hey, oh, hey, Clyde.
There's a story behind him. Someday I'll tell everybody, but in the meantime, let's fade away from Clyde and do Dave.
There we go. Dave in floral, no less.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that's the best view I can have for him. Come here, Clyde. Put your hand on my shoulder.
There we go.
Hey, everybody. Well, here, why don't you do your thing and I'll watch.
Okay, so hey, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday Ask Me Anything with Mike Meyers. Normally, he is, as you know, if you're a regular on here, currently touring the Western United States. Today, he's in Napa Valley. So we know exactly what he's doing and having a lot more fun than we are, but that's okay.
Breathing through a smoke breather, I think.
Yeah, that's true. So there's some giant lightning sparked fire in Napa right now. And Mike was snapping pictures early this morning or late this morning, showing giant billowing clouds of smoke. So of course we're joking about so how's that bouquet, Mike?
That was a funny line. Whoever posted that. So,
just for those who are not regulars here, I'm Scott Jernigan. I'm editor-in-chief for Total Seminars, and I've been teaching and writing and editing and doing videos for many, many years on A+, ITF+, Network+, Security+, and all sorts of custom courses as well. I work extensively with Mike Meyers on all of his publications. So that's me.
And I am Dave Rush, officially the Total Seminars senior instructor. I think Scott is that's really one of the hats he wears, but I am his direct report. So I take the courses that he and Mike writes, and I get to do a little bit, and I go do face-to-face presentations. Mike and Scott do the same as well, but I'm the one who has the freer time. I don't have to write books or edit them or make videos for the most part. So I go on the road and teach to some of our favorite customers, federal agencies of various types, school systems of various types. If you send me a message and we can work out the finances, I will come teach you face-to-face, one-on-one. That may be a little pricey, but we can do it. When I'm not doing that, I do all of the other projects around here that Michael Smyer doesn't do. So I write and I read and I support forums. You will see me as TA on Udemy and other accounts on other platforms that we support. And when Mike's gone, Mikey's very kind enough to allow me and Scott to come in and attempt to fill his big shoes.
And have a lot of fun doing it too. So
definitely.
So the purpose of these AMAs that we do every Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central Daylight Savings Time is for those of you who are studying for CompTIA certification or just want to hang out and talk tech, have a place to come and you can ask us questions. We'll have answers or not. And if we don't, then we write them down as good instructors will and tell you the next time we see you. So.
And we have Michael Smyer in the background running tech on this, and he reads ahead on questions and anticipates things that we don't know perhaps as well as we should or could, and that he does, and he kind of feeds us helpful hints in the background and links and things like that. So good chance if you've got one we don't know, before we're done, we'll find out.
Absolutely. So just because you're here on this feed, we also have a weekly special that
will come up momentarily while you're talking about it.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Okay, sorry. Something changed here, and I got it fixed. There we go.
So this week's Ask Me Anything special deals are 50% off all of our Total Tester standalone products. These are our practice tests. Use code MMLive Yellowstone, which Mike was at a couple of days ago, at checkout from TotalSim.com. And our Total Tester products are not just ITF Plus, A Plus, Network Plus, and Security Plus, but they go well beyond that. So if you're thinking of doing Cloud Plus or PenTest Plus or CYSA Plus, or even doing an AWS course, we have these practice tests. So it's a good deal, 50% off just for you, those of you watching this AMA. So there you go.
What if they want to talk to us, Scott?
What if they want to, well, if you want to talk to us
or communicate,
Dave is going to give you our contact information. So there's Mike Meyers, our esteemed leader, Michael M at TotalSim.com. Dave Rush is Dave R at TotalSim.com. You should be seeing a pattern here. Scott Journey, and I'm Scott J at TotalSim.com. You can also find us, of course, we're all on LinkedIn, not listed on the slides because just look for our names and you'll see us. We all have Steam accounts. We're all gamers. So Mike's Steam account is Senor Pepe. He didn't know how to write an Inye when he made that nickname up years ago. He's also on most social media except for Facebook as Deswebs. So you can find him easily with that rather odd nickname. Dave's Steam account is Blood Rush TX and mine is Scarheart, no E. If you want to call us, our number is 281-922-4166. That's our office number. Nobody's there physically, but it gets forwarded to our people, our channels, and eventually we'll get to us. So more than happy to talk to you and get emails from you and all the rest.
Nice. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah.
So let's see who's joined us. Mario, first one in. Hello, Mario. Good to see you, sir. Aaron Humphreys is here. Tullowit, you're here? I'm shocked.
It's awesome.
There's probably gambling in this establishment too.
Right?
Greetings,
Alan Dugan.
Name as I was scanning ahead that I hadn't seen before. Hello, Dr. Quinn. I was traveling on Monday, but I heard secondhand you may have an interesting question. So throw that up again. And if it's not about speed of sound, if there's some other reference to supersonic, include that in your question. I got supersonic answers regarding sound and flight and things like that, but we started doing some research on things that are supersonic that aren't about such things, and perhaps you were referring to one of those, so throw that in. Hi, LBOE. Hey, I looked up that acronym the other day, not being familiar with it, and found Local Board of Education. Is that what that's about, or is there something else different there?
So now we're asking you questions.
Yeah.
The tables have turned.
And I just saw that name and the thing did its thing and slid up. There we go. Okay. So Debbie Strzok. I know there's 19 different wrong ways for me to pronounce that. I'm going to go with the German pronunciation.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. Where's Bonnie? Like, you're very close to the rationale on that story. I'll dive into that if we get a lull.
Sounds cool. Greg Davis, hello. Brendan S., good morning as well.
Oh, it's too bad Mike's not on. He's apparently right near Debbie. Debbie, I hope you're safe with all the smoke and flames and the photos and news that we've seen of late.
Yeah. Oh, LBOE, same thing. It's all yellow lightning out here.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
Ash on our pool cover. Wow.
Oh, wow, indeed.
I mean, the pictures were intense, and Mike was 10 miles away. So, yeah, crazy.
Hello, Brendan. Good to see you, sir. Brendan S. I suppose there's some other Brendans who, I know there are other Brendans who pop in, but
yep,
you're our long-termer.
Felipe Carmona. Hello. Web Dev Bootcamp, message retracted. Not sure why, but that's okay.
It was quick. I should have gone down earlier.
Yep.
You probably wanted to know where Mike was.
Right? Quite possibly.
Debbie, is the Google IT professional cert worth it? I mean, could I get an entry-level job because I have it? Thanks. So Mike and I think all of us are in general agreement. None of us have ever seen a demand for it. It looks cool. It looks like you get to demonstrate your prowess with Google, but as a job requirement or anything like that, we're not running across that. So will it get you a job? Probably not as well as A+ will help you, or Net Plus or Sec Plus. It certainly shows that you're pursuing a professional education, so there's nothing wrong with it there, especially if it's cheap or free. But as far as being, something that's really going to move your resume up the stack to the top, probably not.
So Daniel James, these guys are very good. I hope you're talking about us.
Yeah. I see a message before him. Dang, I hate this thing.
I know, right?
Zoom. I click it once and it goes 400 messages down.
Right?
Good
Oh,
Lord.
that's
I see a really
great
good
timing,
question for
Daniel.
you coming up.
So yeah, having our 50% off on the total tester saves some money. Absolutely. So I'm Brooks asks, is there a discount on the network 5th edition book?
Yeah, I thought you would appreciate that one. I think we're a little farther ahead than that, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we are, right? Where's my Net Plus book?
There's something that makes me believe the Network Plus is currently on the 7th edition, it being N10007, but I may be mistaken.
For some reason, I don't see my Net Plus book.
Okay.
I will have to look it up and I will tell you.
Okay.
If that is the previous edition, then we don't have any in stock. So yes, we'd love to give you a discount and sell you an old book, but
I had Mike sign a bunch of old books as giveaways. I had this huge pile on my shelf back at the office, but I haven't got that. But there's a very good chance there's an old version of just about everything in there. Hey, do you guys? I know Mike didn't get to do the contest when I watched last week, so maybe that's something we could explore.
Yeah, so we're on the 7th edition on Network Plus. So yeah, that 5th edition would be pretty hard to find at this point. Now, if you're asking, is there a discount on the book in general? Don't tell my salespeople I told you this, but Amazon steeply discounts our A Plus and Net Plus all-in-one books. We can't match them. So just go to Amazon and buy them from them, and they'll even get them for free. So nice. I didn't say that, Kathy. I did not say
that. Yeah. Also, I'm Brooks. There's always somebody on eBay, or if you are actually interested in the 5th edition for some reason, again, that's 2 editions old, and you're probably thinking 7th, but check eBay and check Amazon. There's always used booksellers out there who are moving that old stuff.
Yep. So Taylor Brook is here again. Hello.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Henry Bruzeau.
Yeah.
Hello
from Louisiana. So
excellent.
Got the name right.
So LBOE asks, here's a $1 million question.
Yep.
Just curious, what position is Mike at with Total Seminars? Is he the very top, the founder, employee, etc.? Mike is the.
Wait, let me start it and then you finish it. His current position is seated as he's driving through Napa. Sorry, that was weak. Go ahead.
Wow.
All right, no, but all right, I'm gonna back that up. In the U.S., when you're flying, they ask for ATC when you check in. They will sometimes ask you for location and altitude. But in the UK, ATC asks for position and height. And so the stock answer is, I'm seated and I'm 6'2".
So in another life, Dave was an airline pilot, just for the record. So he actually knows that with some authority. So, okay, but here's the straight answer. Mike is the president and co-founder of Total Seminars. He is still currently the president, along with Dudley Leamer, who is our CEO. And it's the other co-founder. Mike had been doing tech training for some other company back in the day, and he kept getting more and more frustrated with the quality of the training and the training materials as well. And so he finally just looked at his buddy Dudley and said, "Hey, we can do better than this," and started Total Seminars 24 years ago, something like that. It's quite a while, quite a run. And we started with doing little 3-day seminars on basic PC repair and then advanced PC repair. This was back in the DOS and Windows 3.1 days, so way back. And then eventually when CompTIA came out with the CompTIA A+ certification, McGraw-Hill approached Mike. One of their reps had been in one of his classes in his little 3-day seminars, and Mike had developed training materials for that seminar. And the McGraw-Hill rep said, "Hey, we'd like to turn this into the A+ certification exam guide." And thus was born the all-in-one first edition, the big blue book, way back in the day. So that came out of our training materials and has remained substantially flow-wise the same since then, because that's how we teach. So there you go. More history than you probably wanted to know, but now you know it.
And there's some really good stories in there. And I encourage you to, when Mike is back in front of the microphone, ask him some of the questions about the early days and how the company developed. He's got good stories and he loves to expound upon them.
Fun stuff. Nigel.
Hi,
Hello.
Nigel. Good to see you, buddy. And thank you, Debbie, for letting me know I got your name right. I have some Germanic background, so I give everything a German pronunciation. You just happen to fall into my wheelhouse. So good for you.
And I tend to go with French pronunciation for everything. So there you go.
Taco's back. Nice to see you, bud.
Excellent.
Yes, web dev, we remember. You are Deepak.
Yep.
Actually, that's not true. I never remember. When this seminar is done, I'm going to forget every name that came up. So it's good to remind us. Thank you, bud. Oh, thank you, Debbie. Okay, I got it.
Done. Well, so hello up north of us in Dallas.
Yeah, I drove by there the other day. I had to drop the kid off at Texas Tech. So we took the Route 20 connection over by Dallas.
Excellent. Jao is here from Portugal.
Hi,
hello.
man.
Good to see you.
Whoops, Zoom.
Oh, and my scroll just went nuts.
Yeah, mine too. I wonder if there's something endemic to that.
I don't know.
Okay, I'm back to it. So Debbie saw it on the news.
Oh.
LBOE. No, LBLE is a little bit of everything. Okay, so you're
That's
not
nice.
the local board of education, but I like it.
I like it too. That's good. I didn't want to have to be stuck with anything.
Got it. And got your web dev.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's funny. Instead of LBOE, elbow.
Right.
Nice.
I do the same thing with CP Lastman.
Yeah.
But I don't share that on here. Yeah, so Dave, are we talking this Friday about mounting and format for Linux CLI? No. My last 3 sessions have been so boring that even I wanted to hang myself. So I went over to Scott's house and he pulled out the big sword and the whip and smacked me, and you should see under the shirt. It's just scar tissue left and right. So he said, knock it off. Let's do something fun. So I'm going to do something I think is fun. I'm going to finish up the one cool thing that we didn't get to last Friday. I'm going to fire up how to install Wireshark, and I'm going to do 2 Wireshark demos, another comparison one so we can practice ports and encryption. We're going to look at an unencrypted web server capture and an encrypted web server capture, and then put all that stuff behind us. And this week's Pi Drama big score item is building a media server.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
all right.
we're looking at real fun. It's going to be a multi-part thing. We're going to build and use a basic media server here. Cody, I think, is where I'm going with. And then next week, we're going to expand it. We're going to add a Plex server to it. A Plex server is basically a repository, excuse me, I hiccup there. Basically a repository to hold your saved movies and play them from and things like that. So this week, almost all fun. In fact, it is all fun. So let's put CompTIA aside for a little while. And Scott is working with me on an idea that says, you know, as much Pi Day Friday stuff as we do, wouldn't it be cool to demonstrate any given thing like a Kodi server or a brain farting here, Wireshark, and say, all right, now we've installed it on a Pi. Now let's install one on Windows and look at that. And let's install one on a traditional version of Linux or install it on a Mac. So we're going to explore some of that stuff too. It's going to be a ton of fun. And we've had some drop-offs. Scott and I are going to work together on Friday. It'll be the Scott and Mike drama. Sorry, the Scott and Dave drama.
Changing your name?
Dramas. I like
Drama.
that. It'll be Dave
Yeah.
Rush, Ask Me Anything, and Scott.
It's going to be fun.
And since there's two of us, it'd be two humps. We could call it a dromedary.
Oh, God.
It was a long drive back and forth to Lubbock. Still catching.
Oh, man.
So yeah, good stuff, everybody. Please pop in on Friday, 2:00. We'll do pie stuff, but mostly we're having fun on Friday with all kinds of goodies.
That sounds great.
That's funny how that works, Elbow. We'll go with Elbow. I like that, Tolowit. He picked for a 4-letter acronym for his own thing and didn't check to see if it might stand for something else. Thank good it does, and it's nothing you have to say, oh my gosh, can't believe it's that.
Right.
Debbie is going to take the A+ in January and CCNA in January as well.
Wow.
That
Okay.
is truly ambitious. So you're not even going to stop in for Network Plus, huh?
Dang.
All right. Well, you got the time to study for them both. So more power to you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, we tend to suggest that people study for Net Plus en route to the CCNA just because it provides such a tremendous foundation for the Cisco certifications. Your mileage may vary.
Yeah.
So I'm Brooks asks, can I get a job with the Network Plus certification? Yes. In fact, it's funny because Dave and I respectfully disagree with Mike when Mike's famous saying is Net Plus is the best certification.
Best, most useless certification you'll ever get, something like that.
Yeah, the best certification you'll never need.
Yeah, there you
something like that. In other words, it's not, he says it's not good for getting a job. But if you go on Indeed.com or you go to ZipRecruiter or whatever and just type in Network Plus certification, you'll see jobs, quite a few of them. So I would hazard to say that Network Plus is very much a viable job gaining certification.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
So we haven't presented this to Mike, and oftentimes when we do, he's got a mindset that says, nope, I created that saying 27 years ago and therefore it is still truthful. But with enough adult beverage plying the way, we can plant a seed.
Nice. So Ian, thank you.
Yeah, I want to see this.
7th edition. Yes.
There's a response from Elbow to Tullowit. I want to see what this is. If I ever make a video that I don't publish, I just make them for fun to watch back later. I'll start it by saying, what's up, Elbow? Okay. Publish them. LBOE, if you're making videos that aren't publishing, there is a 99.75% chance that you have a YouTube page because you're here on the YouTube channel. Get them up there. If they suck, people will let you know and you can take them down. And if you're not, we want to see what you guys are producing. I want to see your faces. I'm still kind of pushing my way with the group here to say we need a wall of fame for everybody who joins us here to post a pic and a motto or something like that.
That would be fun. That would be very fun.
David Innocenzi. That's actually Senzi because there's only one C, but I'm going to go with Cenzi because I like the Italian sound of it. Hello, I am studying for the A+ with MM's video series.
Okay.
I'm wondering what to expect for the exam day, duration of both exams and break between, what can I bring, and other considerations. Very good question, David.
Yep.
So we're going to presume that you're going to take this in short order. And since the Pearson VUE testing centers do not seem to have opened up the door yet, you're probably going to take it at home. So you want to go check out either pearsonvue.com, VUE, or onvue.com. They both are the same company and they're just different landing pages and you can get from one to the other and you find out what's involved in signing up and so forth there. So let's start with the tests. It appears from your question, you're thinking that you must take the two tests right back to back, and you certainly can. We know people that do that. We do that sometimes, but it's not necessary. You can take either test in any order, anytime you want, as long as they're still valid, which is another 2 years or so for
right.
A+. So if you take 220, 1002 today, you feel like taking them out of order. Cool. As long as you take and pass 220, 1001 before it's retired in about 2 years, you will on that day become A+ certified, and you will remain A+ certified for the following 3 years. So if 220-1101 and 1102 come out right after you became A+ certified, you're still A+ certified for the next 3 years. And then you can decide 3 years hence what you want to do to upgrade that. We can talk about that in a future thing. So what you can expect before you ever take the test, you're going to get together with the nice folks at Pearson VUE, and you're going to have a video camera, a USB camera or whatever, and they're going to get together with you and ask you to hold it up, might be on your laptop, and spin it around your room. And they're going to tell you, yeah, this is allowed to be there, that's not allowed to be there. And they're going to validate your testing environment. And they're going to give you all the rules that says nobody can be in the room with you. You can't have any recording equipment. You can't have any paper or pencil within reach and all of that good stuff. And so finally, you're going to get to the point where you're going to take one of the 2 tests that you're scheduled for. Again, same day or different days, doesn't matter. When you hit the start button, they're going to give you a little practice session and some instructions. So your clock hasn't started yet. So you're going to walk through all of that stuff. You're going to agree to some non-disclosure stuff and something about giving your children away. You're going to agree to serious penalties if they believe that you have in some way compromised the system, cheated. So if you lose your connection for X amount of time, if you look the wrong direction, they'll give you a warning. They're going to be watching you while you take the test through your vid cam. Up, look down. Oh, don't talk to yourself. Don't read the questions out loud. You may have hidden the recording device in there. But at some magic point, then you're going to hit the start button, and you're going to start out by being presented, unless something changes, with a series of performance-based questions, simulations, fill in the blanks, not multiple choices, something like that. You can look those over and move on to the other question types, or you can spend some time right then and there answering them. The general wisdom is to look them over and let them stew in your head. You're going to get somewhere probably between 3 and 9 questions. Some people have gotten less. A few people got 3 and 7, and some people got 1 or 2, and some have gotten 8 or 9. But and then you get to the multiple choice questions, and you can start answering those questions. You can skip them, you can mark them, you can do whatever. When you get to the last question, you hit the review button, so you can go back and get the questions that you haven't answered, the performance-based ones, and any other fill in the blanks and things like that. And again, they're watching you all this time. Don't be paranoid, it's okay. And then when you're done, you've answered all the questions. It's a 90-minute test. It's scored from what, for 1002 is a 650 pass, minimum 100, maximum 900,
right?
675 to pass, I think is.
Yeah.
So you're going to get 100 points just for logging in. And you're probably not going to get 900, though it happens on rare occasion. And finally, you get to the very end and you hit the Uncle Submit button, and they say, we're grading your test, and we're going to show you your score in just a second. And then they won't, because now they're going to hand you a survey. How did you study for this? Where'd you get your study materials? Who paid for it? Funky stuff like that. And after you answer all those junky questions, then you can hit the big button and say, show me my score. Did I pass? And it'll say you passed and you got this many points out of 900. And they will print you, pass or fail, a PDF that you want to download, especially if you didn't pass, that will show you which objective you missed questions in. So when you get ready to go take this thing again, do it quick, especially if you just barely missed it. Go and study those objectives from whatever your study materials are, our course hopefully, and then schedule up another one. And yes, here's the question everybody always asks. You got to pay for the next attempt as well. There's no free retakes. Now, if you want to schedule them both back to back on the same day, go ahead and do that. Schedule them a half an hour or an hour or a couple hours apart. Or again, if you want to schedule them days or weeks apart, whatever works best for you from a study. What did I miss, Scott? Probably
the only thing I would add to that excellent description is the online proctoring thing, they take that really seriously. So if somebody opens a door behind you and pokes their head in or something, they'll just cancel your exam.
Right. The test is over, you failed, and you get to sign up for a new one and pay for a new one.
Right. So it's very serious on that. So don't plug
I don't
a
think
USB.
that is anything to be afraid of. There are thousands of people who have taken these home tests and passed them and not
Right.
been knocked out, but they do take it seriously, and you should too.
Right.
Well, that ought to back us up about 40 questions, huh?
Yeah, right. So, Ian, you can probably buy the old copies on third-party sites.
That's
Why?
what I fear.
Why? These are certification books, man. They're not. Well, I think they're fine literature, but you know.
Deepak, I want to do 501, but I haven't gotten my Net Plus and have no background in networking. Do you think that Net Plus is required to pass security? No, I don't think you need it if you had some background in it.
Right.
But there is a high expectation of knowledge of networking that's built into Security Plus. So if you don't have that background, you know, read Mike's book. If you're desperate to not take the test and you don't have experience, then you're going to have to learn it somehow. So get the book and read it and start to supplant that lack of physical experience with knowledge. But for most people in your circumstances, the right answer is to study for Net Plus and at least gain enough knowledge to pass the test, if not actually take and pass the test.
Right. And the other option, Udemy tends to, again, Kathy, salespeople are going to kill me.
In fact, Nigel says he's telling on you.
Nigel. Udemy often has crazy sales. So sometimes you can pick up Mike's Net Plus class for change. Yeah. And it's crazy. So just, even if you're not planning to do Network Plus certification, just look for the Udemy sale, pick up the video series when it's cheap and not necessarily convenient, right? And watch it when you can, because with the Udemy courses, these are lifetime courses. So once you buy it, you have access to it forever, assuming the Udemy stays in business, of course.
Yeah, I always carry that kind of legal disclaimer too. I'm always afraid to say lifetime because
a lifetime is in the lifetime of the company.
Right.
There you go.
But we get people who are still asking questions about 801 classes. So that's 7 years ago. And they're still up there, and I still answer questions for them.
Wow.
A question for you from Mario.
Yeah.
Okay, question with Scott. If I pass A+ Core 1001 and fail Core 1002, do I have to do both again or just Core 1002?
Just Core 1002. Once you pass one, you don't have to take it again. So yeah.
Yep.
You'll have to pay for Core 1002 or whatever, whichever of the exams you failed. But yeah, take it. And you can take it right away, by the way. You don't have to wait. If you fail it a second time, you have to wait something like 14 days.
Yeah.
Before you can take it a third time.
If you fail that one, then it's a much longer wait. I think it's
right.
2 months or something.
But if you're close enough and you're feeling confident, it's like, I just missed that one little section and that dropped me down below the passing score, then bone up on that one little section, sign up again and do it. It's only money.
Yeah, they're not cheap. So, you know, be serious in your studies and be ready, because nobody wants to bite that apple and cough up another, whatever it is, retail price $278 per test. I'm Brooks is a student at ASU. And so he was the one who asked about 5th edition. Apparently they're using 5th edition books. I think Kathy needs to make a phone call to ASU.
My nephew, assuming this is Arizona State,
my
nephew actually is a math teacher there.
Ah,
professor. Yeah.
That's cool.
So if you're wanting to take high level math, Dr. Ramey is his name. So
I coughed when you said that. Last name is what?
Ramey, R-E-A-M-Y.
Very cool.
Really
and
nice. You can
in the news.
pop in and say, hey, Uncle Scott told me.
I love it.
They're very fun.
Yeah, ASU's been in the news hard last couple of days with COVID-y stuff.
Of course.
Ian, as long as sales don't watch the archived videos, they watch, they know.
Yeah, they know.
Kathy Y at TotalSem.com. What are we booing, Daniel James? Oh, probably my poor humor.
Or it could be the Nigel telling on me.
Could be.
Telowit. Yes, that's exactly how you pronounce Dudley's last name, Dudley Lemur. It's Lehmer, but yeah, spelled like a non-monkey primate, or sounds like a
Oops. Can we back up and edit this a little bit? Taylor, glad you like the history. Yeah, there's more and it gets fun. Zvi Parkov. Hello, Zvi. Hello, guys. I'm 15 years old and currently studying for the A+ certification. Any tips for studying? First of all, kudos. You already have the tip. You are 15 years old and you are studying not something that's so complicated that nobody could get it, but something that so few 15-year-olds are willing to tackle.
Yeah.
That you're there. But if I have any advice, yeah, Scott's got something that's probably going to echo from Mike, but my advice is whenever you encounter something that you don't understand, I don't know if you're studying by watching the videos or by reading the book or whatever, when you get done with it, stop and let it stew for a day and then go back. Now you can go ahead and go forward if you feel like it, but at the next point, one day later, go back and reread or rewatch the same material, take notes, and make flashcards the same time, and physically write your flashcards. Scott and I are in strong agreement here that the more senses and the more motors that you get involved, the better the studying and the better the impact of learning. And I guarantee you're going to get more out of it than you did the first time you read it. And then do it once, twice, maybe even 3 more times. And after the third review or so, if you're still confused by something, then start using an alternate source. Ask us questions here. Look up the topic online. There's a million different sources. There's other educators out there who have programs that you can look at and maybe get a different perspective on it that makes more sense to you. But involve as many senses and experiences as you can in this learning thing. Get your hands on stuff. When you find a command that you've never played with before, or some aspect that you've learned about in your study materials that you've never done before, do it, unless it's something really destructive. So again, improve that experiential aspect of, okay, fine, go destructive after you finish the last chapter of your course.
What I would add to that explanation is get yourself some gear. That's the key. Don't experiment on if you have one system that is your main system that you use to connect to the internet and do your studies and all that stuff, don't experiment on that machine. It's safe to do software stuff in virtual machines, and we can talk about VMs and stuff a little later, or go back to, no, that's too much. I was about to say Monday, Michael went into virtualization in gory detail.
Yeah, for A+.
But for A+, it was too much. But get your hand on secondhand machines and tear them apart. You know, getting into the stuff, especially on machines that you don't really care if you break them.
An old dead one is useful. You can open it up. You can look at stuff. You can pull dead cards out of it and put them back in for practice. And the same for RAM and the same for CPU. A working one is a little better because then you can say, did this work? But if not, that's okay. There's still great hands-on learning there.
Right. And, get some games. Right? Because there's no greater incentive than for upgrading a computer than getting a game that makes your shiny computer all dull and old and slow. So yeah, certainly drove my first 20 upgrades.
Very good. And thank you, Henri. We got that. We're pretty close to the Louisiana border. We get a good handle on French and Cajun names down here. And we got just as many Thibodeaux and Boudreaux as you do over on your side of the line.
This is true.
I'm Brooks. Oh, the book we are using is Managing and Troubleshooting Networks 4th edition, M&T. And Scott is checking on the current revision of that. Good, Henri. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Pi Day as well. Pi Day Friday. And again, Scott's here too. Good. I'm glad you like that, Andre. Nice to see you, buddy. Yeah, we're going to have fun building a media server, and it's easy. Thank you, Nigel. I think we found something. Good, Joe, because you know what? I've never built a Plex server. I will be doing that tonight and doing it 40 times tomorrow until I know it backward and forward in my sleep. I use Kodi in a different way than most. I strictly for live and other online presentations, I tend not to download or save movies. So I'm looking forward to your input on that. Josh says, what about Home Assistant Dave? It's a good third lesson. I've looked into that. I don't have any Home Assistant peripherals, no doorknobs or doorbells or any of that stuff. So I don't know that I could do a very good presentation on that. I am definitely looking into it, and I can certainly help build a home server. I've done that for some other folks, even in the company, to integrate with their world. So I will look into that. I'll tell you what, add it to the notes now, home server.
So back to I'm Brooks.
Yeah.
What comment about the 4th edition and managing and troubleshooting? I don't know if you all know this, but we have 2 different versions of our A+ and Network Plus books. They're essentially the same book, but one is designed for self-study. That's the all-in-one. But there's also these other copies, managing and troubleshooting. This one's the A+ book, so managing and troubleshooting PCs, and the Net Plus book is managing and troubleshooting networks, not surprisingly. But these are designed for the academic market. You can buy them on Amazon, but unless you're actually in a class like I'm Brooks is in, then you should go with the all-in-one because that has answers to the questions. So like every textbook that you've ever seen, our textbooks have no answers for the students. The instructors instead get answer keys to them directly, and we can't release them to the students because, well, we're not McGraw-Hill, and they control the copyrights on these things. So, but you might be able to find a copy of the 4th edition. We're currently on the 5th edition, Managing and Troubleshooting Networks. That's the one for the current exam. But if you're using the 4th edition, you can probably still get it on Amazon or eBay, and probably not for much. So, or not too expensive is what I mean.
Nice. Good deal. Thank you, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
We can change the show day. Well, you know what? We can change the show title. I'm not changing the title. I love our title, but
Friday, Pi Day,
anytime you want, because they're all archived. So please check them out.
Oh no, because see what he actually wrote.
Yeah, Day Plus, Pi Day Plus.
Day Plus, yeah.
Yeah, we've looked at Raspberry Plus and Rasppi Plus, and all we got to do is convince the nice folks over at raspberrypi.org to let us create a certification called Rasppi Plus. Well, I guess we've got to convince CompTIA too, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
That should be easy. Well, we know James Stanger well now, so
that's right. And we can start on the video process right now.
Aroo!
Hey,
Debbie.
Pi Plus certification.
I love it. I'm in classes this year, so I decided to wait to certify when classes are over, Network or Sec Plus next. That sounds good. That's a great thing to do. Complete the class, take the test.
Yep, absolutely.
Dave, have ever you tried OpenSense, the alternative to pfSense? No, I have used PF, but not Open. I don't know if that's available for Pi or if that's x86 base. Let me know, or I will look that up when today's AMA is done. Yeah, it's a good history, Nigel. And when you get it from Mike, it's longer and has good side stories.
Yes, it does. So
Ian has a question. Hello, Ian. Nice to see you, buddy. I saw you a couple posts earlier, too. How do you know what career path to go down without relevant experience? Like, how do you know if you want to? Is this a feed me question? I want to give this one to Mike just to give him a reason to talk for 22 minutes. So if you want to be CEH versus pen tester versus cybersec without the experience. Okay, you got 2 questions here, Ian. How do I get a job without experience, or how do I pick a job without experience? So it doesn't work that way. There are jobs that are well suited to people without experience. They call them entry-level jobs. So internships and basic level 1 tech support that you can get away with having read a book or watched a video or got a basic certification and things like that. You're not going to walk into somebody's door, knock on the door and say, hey, I've got a PenTest certification. I've never done it, but I got the cert. Please hire me as a pen tester. Not likely, not unless your uncle runs the company or teaches at the university there. Did I say that out loud? So how do I, the other question then comes down to, how do I pick a path for a career? And I'll take Mike's tack on this one. Find your passion. Do you want to pen test because you think it's a well-paying job in the future? All well-paying jobs that you don't love get old and painful and are terrible.
Yep.
So you got to find what you love to do. Now, if you're at home and you are finding 13 different ways to hack your neighbor's Wi-Fi without using their data that they move on it for some nefarious or malicious purpose, and you love that stuff, man, there's CEH and pen test, and that's a career for you. You love this stuff, and if somebody pays for you, fantastic. But otherwise, don't pick a job because it pays well. I'm fortunate that I liked flying, and I picked a job foolishly because I didn't research the industry well. It don't pay very well unless you can do a 30-year career in it. But man, I love the flying, even though I made very close to peanuts for the first, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. Okay. Disclosure here. Not everybody knows this. After 9/11, most of the airlines went bankrupt. And if you could keep your job with that company, it was a miracle. And I managed to keep mine, though I got pushed down as a very low seniority first officer. And that's a lifestyle that I wouldn't wish on anybody. You live on the road 6.5 days a week and lots of badness to it. But I got hired by a company that had the same kind of aircraft that I was flying overseas, and they paid ungodly amounts of money. And when all the airlines went bankrupt, they destroyed most of our pension funds. But I was able to go over to the Middle East and fly over there for a couple of years. And in that couple of years, I was able to at least fix my retirement fund and then came back home. But again, I love doing it. It wasn't for the money. I just happened to get lucky and be willing to do something. Like, everybody in the company said, well, I can fly that plane too. Let's all go over there. And it's cool. Let's sign up. And when push came to shove, I was the only one from my company that went over there. And I'm the one who fixed my retirement. Okay, cool. Not related. Backfill what I've blown here, Scott. Pick a career.
I don't know. I was into the flying story. Wait, where else have you flown? So yeah, pick your passion. Another thing that I would suggest, Ian, is because you can get you can often find at libraries, for example, you can get access to LinkedIn Learning. And if the library is paying for that, then generally that is approachable and free for you as with your library card or library membership. And this is a way to access their catalog of courses and just start watching. It's like I have a Python class that I'm currently taking. I've got a PenTest Plus class that I have in the wings that I'm going to take after I finish my Python class.
All right.
So I figure having a little bit more programming skill, then I can at least talk to Michael Smyer.
That's great. I didn't know you had that PenTest in the offing.
Yep.
And everybody I've talked with Scott in past about his Python class, and I got to tell you about this one project he had. He kind of drew a couple of people in for some inspiration and ideas, but there was this great Python if-then kind of scenario where he had to recreate rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock. So if that means anything to anybody, cool. And if it doesn't, I want you to look it up. We're not going to explain it here, but what a cool exercise. Even if you were just to program up rock, paper, scissors, that's a great programming exercise in any programming language. But add the lizard, Spock, and it gets that much more fun.
And it was fun. It was definitely a challenge for a starting project. but I think I was taking Python for games.
Oh, is that what okay.
Yeah, so like learning Python through gaming.
Cool.
None of my none of my posted video. Well, that's because you're in the witness protection program, right? Said that many times.
Make sure you don't get any pictures of the rear view mirror.
It's really, and just for the record, Tellowit, it's really hard not to get stunning footage in Hawaii. I mean, it's called paradise on Earth for a reason. I was shocked.
Still there. I hope you did well dodging the hurricane last month.
I was shocked when I went to Hawaii how dramatically different one valley from the next was. Just driving through Hawaii and stopping every couple hundred yards, and you'd be in a totally different environment.
It's amazing. It's weird. When I flew, I was mostly a homebody. I seldom left the hotel unless it was something, really interesting and close. I did one thing. If there was a library close, you could find me in a library. I would go and actually either hang in the library or get a library card. I have library cards from all kinds of states. But I never did much in Hawaii, much outside the hotel. It's kind of unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. So you just have to take your lovely young wife on vacation when we can.
Yeah, I took her all the international places. We had capabilities if it wasn't a full flight to drag a spouse along. But so many times it's a 24-hour layover, and
right,
that's disappointing.
Yeah, need a little more time.
Right. Henri says, I just started studying for Network Plus, and there's a lot of overlap from A+, gives me a little confidence. Good. I'm not sure that our books have a great deal of overlap, but it's interesting, maybe now more so than ever, CompTIA has this penchant for taking a class, Network Plus, from last year, and when the new A+ comes out this year, they pull a bunch of material out of the old next level class and port it down to the earlier class. And then they'll do the same thing. They'll move Sec Plus into Net Plus, and they'll add some new things, and the same for others. And so, yeah, we do see kind of evolution to evolution crossover.
Right. And I'd say the networking coverage, because that's in A+, because it's a passion for Total Seminars, and Mike especially, that we write a lot on networking, and because it's essential, and go even well beyond A+, in the A+ book in the networking section, because we believe, and I would say rightly believe, but of course, belief is belief, that every good technician today needs to be a network tech on at least a pretty solid level. So even if you're just building and fixing machines, at some point, you're going to have to connect them to the internet. You're going to have to connect them to a network. And so that's where the network overlap. Plus, the A+ has a great foundation, because we know that most of our students are going to go from A+ into Net Plus. So we teach our network section as a foundation for Network Plus. So yeah, good. It worked.
I'm blowing past a lot of these questions where folks are talking with themselves. I'm down to Taylor Brook. I was dealing with a customer, so I missed much of this, but I had 3 sims on the 1001. Okay, so that's kind of a normal minimum that would, based on the last report that we saw a few days ago, I'm guessing you probably had about 80 multiple choice questions then. If they did no simulation questions, PBQs, there would be a theoretical max of 90. And the more performance-based questions you get, the less multiple choice ones you get.
Right, and it's not a one-to-one basis, because CompTIA won't tell us for real how they score things, but it seems pretty clear that the performance-based questions, where you have to do something or some series of steps, will have multiple points attached to them. So depending on their complexity, I guess.
Okay.
But again, that's not confirmed or denied from CompTIA.
Right.
Yeah, they won't tell us anything.
No, they are very close to the vest.
Yep.
Zhao is sharing some experience he had with testing at home. I did the 1001 at home, and they warn you when you're not on track with the standards, you're not terminated. If you keep on doing it, I believe you might be. Right. So if you look up and away, you get a warning. If you look
Right.
up and away 2 or 3 times, you get cut off. And same for whatever other violations they describe to you. And you get all those rules before you ever take the test. So you know what they got in mind. You're supposed to. Could be a fun alternative to using an actual face cam.
I think that went up to their earlier questions when they were talking about, or comments, like the Adobe Character Animator CC,
Right.
which I have not used. I've certainly got, I'm looking at the Creative Cloud on my other monitor there. Maybe I'll fire that up after the session and we can talk about it on Friday.
Cool.
Or on Monday, or
right.
I'm still not sure when Mike is going to actually have internet connectivity. So we'll roll with it.
But we know he's more than 2 weeks into it. So worst case is 2 weeks. He's
That's
back
true.
home.
That's true.
Elbow. So I did. Okay. So Frank says he passed his 1001 and wants to know where the PDF is. I haven't taken the at home. None of us have, but we have been told by others on this forum and outside this forum that when they get the passing score, there is a button or a link or something to download the PDF. So if you didn't get it, you may be able to pursue it by contacting CompTIA, but everybody I know that tries to get some kind of support from CompTIA after the fact, unless it's really critical, combine my accounts or something like that, they can be a little challenging to get stuff you want from them. But it may be worth checking with you. You've got an account on CompTIA. Try that and see what you can find in there. But you passed. You don't need it.
Right.
Okay. Greg says they're serious about their online proctor.
Yep, absolutely.
Dave, you can pay for the new test. No, Total Seminars pays me about the same thing I made as a first officer for the commuters. So no, I couldn't afford to pay for lunch, much less somebody else's test. Thank you, David. Glad I got it right.
Excellent.
Yeah. Brendan's bagged another question. You coward. Post it again. We want to see it. Right. We're doing okay answering questions. We're getting thanks. Dr. Quinn. Hi, Doc. Nice to see you.
Hold on.
Okay.
Deepak says that the Udemy courses are on sale right now.
Oh.
You didn't hear that from me.
I saw that first question and said, understood, copy that. So I moved on. I guess you have to read the rest.
Yep. Gotcha.
All right.
So Dr. Quinn.
Inhaled some tea. Go ahead. You start that. Dr.
Okay. So Dr. Quinn asks, thanks, David Rush. Since Mr. Michael Smyer was talking about the waves of light on networking cables, I was hoping you could talk about supersonic, super high-speed jet waves. Please forgive the irrelevant question. I would only forgive the question if you didn't ask it.
Wow. Well, I'm trying to link those two together. First of all, I haven't gone back. My job, among many others, is to go and watch, if I'm not doing it real time, every one of these AMAs and create a time index for when we talk about what topic. And I'm making very good headway on that. But because I was out of town the other day, I missed that. And I would love to have heard, and I will love to hear Michael's discussion of light waves. So could I talk about supersonic high-speed jets waves? So, okay, I'll just do a quickie version here because I don't want to do a pilot or a jet class, but supersonic, right? So speed of sound is what we call sonic, or the maximum speed of sound, Mach 1. And the really interesting thing about that, the thing that if you take away anything from this little 2-minute presentation, is the speed of sound is completely tied to, we're talking about speed of sound through air. It's completely tied to the temperature of the air. The colder the air, the faster it is. So when we're talking about living up at 40 or 50,000 feet, where the temperature is somewhere between -30 and -100, depending if we're playing Fahrenheit or Celsius, that speed is some number, 1,100 feet per second, 1,400 feet per second, whatever it is. And then, in fact, it's the other way around. When we're talking about 20 degrees Celsius, 68 degrees Fahrenheit. The speed of sound in feet per second is 1125 feet per second, but it gets faster as the air gets colder and it gets slower as the air gets warmer. So when you're dealing with a supersonic aircraft, one that can go faster than the speed of sound, we got two things to play with. First of all, air moving or moving through air at faster than the speed of sound, the physics of air changes. It's actually much more like moving through water or water moving rapidly through you because it's highly compressed and has a whole bunch of other different physical properties. And so when they design a wing, this is as far as I'm going to go on this, that wing, if it's designed to be near the sonic speeds or transonic in that range where we're changing temperatures, so it's faster on this part of the wing and slower on that part of the wing, or faster or slower depending on the air temperature that you're at based on your altitude. They have to design it to deal with both of those realms of fluidity, air fluid and liquid fluid. So, you know, it's a 2-day class, and if you ever get to sit through a sonic class and you've got some background on subsonics, cool bananas, it'll leave you hurting like a presentation from Michael Smyer. But those couple little factoids ought to give you enough of a tease to say, wow, there is a lot going on here. And when you talk about the folks in the military who fly supersonic jet fighters, that's a couple of months of education. We learn a little bit, we go up, we go transonic, then we come back down, and then we learn a little more and we go supersonic, and months to get all that down and get competent playing with it. Hope that helps.
That's very cool. Thank you, Dave.
Yo. Let's see, there we go.
So Kevin Lopez,
I got to get myself found.
we're at 233.
Okay.
Kevin Lopez asks, are the Udemy courses different from the ones on Total Seminars website? Okay.
Yes,
and
they cost less.
So the video courses are the same, right? The video content is the same in both. The questions are substantially different, or more accurately, they're just a couple of questions on Udemy, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, of questions in our Total Tester practice test banks. So yeah, the questions are substantially more extensive in the Total Tester product than on Udemy, but the video content is the same. Right. And the added benefit to the Udemy class is Dave's going to be answering your questions. I mean, that's true, right?
There's truth, absolutely.
Yeah.
Until or unless somebody says we've had enough of you here at Total Seminars, you see a question answered by TA, it's me.
There we go. So you have a face to go with the initials.
Yeah, I've considered putting an icon up there. The original plan is that we were going to kind of rotate people and answer questions, and they would all use the same account. And so I didn't put an avatar up there. It just has the letters TA, but it appears that I'm becoming kind of a fixture. So I'll talk to Herr Lemur and see what he thinks about sticking an avatar.
Sounds good.
Let's see, Debbie, if I'm taking CCNA and A+ exams, which should be first to take next, Network Plus or Sec Plus? That's a gimme, Net Plus. You won't need Sec Plus to prep for CCNA. Network Plus will get you through all the techno stuff about networking that's on CCNA, except the Cisco specific stuff. So I mean, that used to be kind of a standard. You take Net Plus, that's a notch in your belt, it's a mark on your resume, and you have covered half of the material necessary for CCNA. All you had to do then was study for the Cisco specific stuff. There's a few more things to study for on CCNA now, but still very good way to go.
Yep, absolutely. Agree completely. Armando, so for the next 8 days, that's good.
Yeah, great news. Thank you, Armando.
Andre asks, I want to buy an anti-static mat to work on computers. So many sizes, what size should I get?
Well, if bigger is better, too much is just right. How about big enough to hold the stuff you plan on putting on it?
Right. Or, good enough for the size of your work table. So Yeah, because placing your components and stuff on that anti-static mat while you're working on systems minimizes problems. Or you could just live down here in the hot and humid South, where we don't have any static electricity because it's too humid and too hot. Now, if you live up in the Northeast, or of course you do because you're in the Netherlands, that's far to the northeast
That's
of me.
really northeast of here.
Probably during the winter.
He was Portugal.
Andre? No.
That's the Mike screw up.
Oh, okay. No, the screw up with Andre is to dump him in neighboring Belgium.
Right. Okay, thanks. That helps a lot. Only money. Yes. So the solution is not to ask me to send you money because I don't have extra, but I feel a GoFundMe coming on. Please help me pass my A+ by paying for my exam. Tomas Protovin, good to see you, my friend. Hey, you all. I just bought Network Plus book and was just wondering if there's a PDF of it as well. Sometimes it would be easier to search specific word than cycling through the book. I'm going to answer the second half and ask Scott to answer the first.
Okay.
Almost every word outside of a, and the are glossarized in the back, indexed in the back. So if you're looking for a particular word, just go to the back pages. You will find that word in two different indexes, right? We've got one in the objective index, and the other is in the actual alphabetically listed word index word. I'm close to it almost.
To take the first half of that question, no. So some years ago, that's cold, right? Some years ago, McGraw-Hill, our publisher, and every other publisher in the industry decided that giving away ebooks or PDFs along with their books was actually a bad idea. Most of our competitors went to doing that, and so did we. We, as in McGraw-Hill, I'm not paid by them, but I certainly write for them. And so the whole industry for several years put everything out there in PDFs, and of course, what do you think happened? Suddenly, a whole bunch of people didn't have to buy our books anymore because the piracy was just crazy, and there's no way to lock down a PDF truly lock it down. Even if you think you've locked it down and you've done it in Windows and everything else, you can just open it up in Linux and just all there. So right now, if you want an electronic copy of the Network Plus book, unfortunately, the only option is to buy the ebook version of the book. So yeah, I wish I could give you a better answer on that one, but that's the way the industry is working right now.
Kevin Lopez says, I have a poli-sci degree, which was a waste of time. Oh, I don't think so. I think Scott is already jealous. Okay, Scott wants 2 poli-sci degrees, but so be it. And now that I want to go into IT, should I look into getting a master's in CS, or should I focus on certs? I'm 30 years old, by the way. It depends on what you want to do, Kevin. If you want to manage an IT department, a master's in CS is a reasonable thing to do.
Right.
If you want to work in a hands-on environment, even managing, hands-on managing technicians and things like that, a master's is probably something that's not that required. Remember, today's master's degrees also include a fairly notable component about the managing and financial aspects of most of these careers in education. So if you're not looking to get to that level of it and start real close to that high level right away, then probably not a master's. On the other hand, though, if I don't want to play with pulling cables and identifying why this IP address is wrong, I want to budget things and I want to understand the grand overview and be responsible for purchasing and all those other management aspects of it, and knowing what you're messing with, then it's a great idea for a master's. What do you think, Scott?
I think that is very good. And the idea of a political science degree being a waste of time, you realize that's my undergraduate, right? I loved political science. I still love it. turned me into a lifelong political junkie. So there you go. It wasn't worthless. You probably had to write a lot, which makes it a lot less worthless than you can imagine. So having the research and writing skills that come out of a political science or a history degree, these are totally useful, especially in IT.
Yep. Dr. Quinn is helping you make a plug here. Hey, Scott, don't forget the 15% on all tests from Dr. Stanger. Did anybody write down the code he gave us?
I did not, and I was about to say, you can very quickly look up the episode that Mike did where he interviewed Dr. Stanger. I think it was from last Wednesday.
Yeah, do the last 20 minutes is where he talked about that.
Yeah, even the last 10. He got right to the discount at the end, put it on double speed, and it'll pop up because he had it on a slide. And yeah, it's a fairly limited time period. So I would suggest if you're getting ready to get your to take an exam and to pay for it, certainly get discount vouchers. You can save a little money there. We and many of our competitors will sell them for a certain price, like a decent discount, but not great. That 15% discount that Dr. Stanger sprang on us at the end of his lecture, way more than anybody can offer. So jump on it.
Right, and that's offered only to you folks and anybody who hears about it by having come here. So
right,
yeah, take advantage of that.
Yep.
Was the end of the month, give or take? I think it was good till around the end of August, but do double check that in that video, and I'll look it up. I'm doing indexing on that tonight and tomorrow, and I'll get that posted, and we'll add it to our specials notification until it expires.
Okay.
Remember, get it now. It's good for a year. So, you just because you buy it this week and the discount expires in 2 weeks or whatever it is, you save that money now and you don't have to take that exam for another year.
Right. See, Brendan's right there with me.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly. I see that. Nada. If you, both Scott and Dave, were starting your IT path just today, which certificates would you begin? Hands down, A+, Net+, Sec+. Boom, boom, boom. They are considered foundational in the industry. They are truly foundational. That's why they're considered that way. So if I needed to know how Windows works, how to install a hard drive, how to identify a problem, A+, I got that one done. And then networking from the physical, technical, hands-on aspect after you're fixing computers is the biggest thing that you can do. Understanding a network, understanding what went wrong with it, how to design it, how to install it, throw in CCNA after that maybe, and then Sec+, because every IT-oriented job wants you to have some understanding of security, encrypting data, and all of the other aspects of it, protecting your buildings.
Right. And
that's what I would do.
I agree totally. The only thing I would throw in as well, if you're truly coming in to IT cold, then I would start with CompTIA IT Fundamentals Plus. ITF Plus is a great foundation for A+ and general knowledge of how computers work, and an introduction to a whole bunch of topics that you might find more interesting than you think, like database development and programming. They're covered in ITF Plus, not deeply, but enough that you might take ITF Plus and go, oh, this programming thing looks really cool, and that would just change your trajectory completely. So
excellent thought.
Yeah.
Choco Taco adds another great thing to do is experiment with VMs. Man, once you get your hooks into VMs and you get that process down that you can install one in a few minutes, minus however long it takes to copy, I can't have enough VMs. I have so many running on so many machines, not running all the time, of course, but when I need to play with Ubuntu server, I don't have a machine standing around that I can install one on or leave running around and say, hey, I got an Ubuntu server VM on here. Up it goes, and man, they are just the tool.
Absolutely.
Andre has a question for you. Scott Jernigan, you can also get a non-working machine to practice. See if you can find a failure and try to find it and fix it.
Yeah, so that's actually fun. Go, hey, friends, family, give me your broken machines, right? And people be like, oh, this has been sitting in the closet. It cost me $2,000. I didn't want to throw it away, but it's junk. I can't get it working. It's dead. And they hand you these machines, and you're like,
Yeah.
let's see what I can do.
Hey, there's learning value in machines that are 20 years old that are dead.
But I mean, getting a dead PC up and working, or a dead printer, to suddenly go, oh no, it has still another 2 years of life in it, just because I'm smarter. And I'm an IT professional, A+ technician. So there you go.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Plex is not 100% free, prefers Cody. So the way I hear all the folks on the support forums, especially on the Raspberry Pi, is they run both. They're integrated. So I will learn a lot more about Plex in the next 48 hours, and I'll be looking again for your input.
So hey, Brendan.
Absolutely, Brendan. If you got a Raspberry Pi project you want to mail to me and questions, sure. I may or may not have the answer, but I'll research it and see if I can find it. If not, I'll point you to. Oh, wow.
So our contact information
get it set up. You can't. Oh, I got a rough idea what you're into, but yeah, send me the email. You've got my address. And you posted that before, drushtx@Yahoo or daver@totalsem.com.
Why don't you put up the contact information again?
All right. What a heck of a good suggestion.
Right. So if you do have questions like Brendan, where it might go deeper than we would be able to answer very quickly, feel free to email us. Michael.m@totalsem.com. I'll get you to Mike. Dave R@totalsem.com, or drushtx@yahoo.com will get you to Dave. Scott J@totalsem.com will get you to me. We answer. And that gives us a chance, if you have a complicated question or one that requires more research than we can do on the fly in a live stream, that gives us a chance to play. And because we're geeks, right? Even if you email me, I'm still going to be talking to Dave and Mike and Michael and Travis and Ian, and we're going to go into detail and we have a lot of fun with these things. So yeah, I encourage you to with the complicated questions. And if we can't answer, we'll tell you that too.
You bet.
So
that's my first answer.
But there's a good chance that we can, with just a little bit more effort, and that effort is fun for us. So
sure.
Feel free.
I'm Brooks. My professor said in an email that we can use 6th edition as well. So terrific.
So I would highly recommend using the 6th edition, because that covers the current, even if you're not taking a certification at the end. If you study from the 6th edition instead of the 5th edition, you'll be ready to take the N10 007 exam at the end of your class.
Yep.
So, and that would be a really great certification to have to get Network Plus certified. And you can't take N10 006 anymore. It's expired. So yeah, definitely, if you can, use the 6th edition.
Nigel wants to know if we have a managing and troubleshooting brains. Yes, it's called therapy. No, and you know what? Therapy doesn't require a professional that you pay $200 an hour. It requires a dead computer that you can open up and start playing.
That's true. That's true. Or you could take a trip to Napa and
help them put out fires. Tim Showalter, welcome, new voice and face. You should be able to forward the DNS and DHCP requests on Comcast routers. Right, I have a Comcast router. I can and do that. And in fact, since you bring it up, I'll make it really fast. I was chewing on projects to do, and I did a DNS server and a DHCP server in the same box. And something was really causing me a ton of grief. I was getting a massive conflict between between a domain name that was something that was trying to give out domain names and the domain names that I was trying to give out. And I was flustered and slugged it out for a couple hours and discovered that my router has this unusual configuration. I got it from T-Mobile, a carrier here in the States, a cellular phone carrier. If you have an account with them and a phone number, they will give you a current ASUS router that they've modified the firmware in so that it can handle be a cellular hotspot. So if somebody with a T-Mobile phone gets in proximity of my house, they could theoretically make phone calls through my Wi-Fi. Guess what? The first thing Dave did about that function when he got Uncle Router at home. But there is this other piece of junk that's I discovered, fortunately, doing this process, but I didn't know. In its DHCP server, it was handing out a tmobile.com domain. And so that was conflicting with the domain that I was generating with my DNS server. So I got that turned off, and now I've got my own DNS, and you'll probably be able to do something similar and solve your problem if your problem is what I think it is. So yes, thank you very much, Sam. Completely right and triggered that. I like it, Andre.
Right.
Walter, everybody's helping Sam out and responding with him.
Yep. Excellent.
Nest, Tullowit. Wise words, Dave. Thanks. I have very few wise words that usually ends with be good, take care, drive. What is it? Drink heavily, drive fast, and take chances.
Right. Yeah. There's lots of good comments here. Brendan answering Kevin saying I'm 31, so a year older. Yep. Made a career change from teaching with a history degree. So yeah, and none of that is wasted. None of the life experience is wasted. And in fact, when I hire people to be teachers for me, or to write for me, or to do projects for me, the fact that they have 10 years experience in a completely unrelated field, and yet they show that they have excellence in that field, there's a good chance that they're going to be able to take the discipline and the energy and the time spent doing some unrelated thing. I mean, I mentioned my undergraduate is political science. My master's degree is in medieval history. So that's why I teach IT. It's okay.
And when you say that in words, the dichotomy seems really huge, but once we get to know you, it's such a beautiful and natural transition.
Yeah, but you wouldn't think it looking at it from the outside, but yeah. And our chief programmer has a master's in literature and creative writing. Yeah. That's our chief programmer, Travis.
Right. There are so many people that I know whose career field is so different than what it would seem their degrees should lead to. So your degree is a great degree, and if it takes you to that field, terrific. But if not, it's like Scott says, it demonstrates that you have a discipline to complete a serious and legitimate multi-year process, and probably get hammered on the weekends in between. Now says OpenSense is an AMD 64. It has half the documentation, but it's more intuitive. I will certainly give it a try, Joe. Thank you.
Okay, cool. And Joe, that was half an hour ago, so looks like he has probably left us at this point. So we'll.
No way, he's sticking it out. Code Academy.
Oh, it's dinner time. Remember?
That's right.
Dinner time. And
yeah, you guys got to learn to get on our time schedule here.
Sleeping at night.
Zvi says Code Academy has RPCLS activity. Cool. Code Academy really, really popular for all of the languages and learning them and getting support.
Yep. It's good stuff. Of course, the feds are listening, Tullowit.
Take that one from Deepak before the Tullowit one.
Okay, I'm guessing cybersecurity analysts and pen testers are two different professions. Yes, although there's overlap. So let me take you the second one. I'm actually more familiar with pen testing than I am with straight up cybersecurity analysis or analysts. Pen testers are people who test, sorry to use the same word within a definition, who stress a network. And they're usually paid by the companies to come in and tell me how secure or non-secure my network is. And they have tons of tools like you'll find in Kali Linux, for example, where you go in and start running tests on the network, start running tests on the wired, the wireless. You can do cold, warm, and hot testing where you can be cold from the outside and try, like, can I get through your network just via the internet, right? So much harder than if you are in the building. What kind of damage can I do if I can plug in, right, into an open jack on a switch? So pen testers do this and get paid to do this. So you want to make sure that you're not the pen tester who's practicing without permission, because then you get into all kinds of legal and like really bad trouble. So you don't want to do that, because of course, with any decent organization, they're going to have anti-hacking people in place, so that if you pen test without permission, there's a good chance you'll get caught. So
yeah, that's a red team, blue team thing.
So a cybersecurity analyst will differently analyze a network from the inside to check it for its levels of security and structure, and whether it's missing something, how the firewalls are set up, how the different machines are set up, whether you need some other things in place. So the cybersecurity analyst will give you that more of a company-wide, are your procedures and stuff good enough to accomplish the level of security that you're trying to do. So yeah, somewhat related, obviously, but distinct in practice.
Good answer, Scott. Thanks. Sam, question: Is it worth it? Is it worth it to get an A+ certification if you've been in IT for 5 years and know everything on the exam? And the answer to that is depends on what your next career step calls for. No, if you know it all, you should be working on Net Plus or Sec Plus or something that advances your career path.
Yeah, the only time
nobody wants to see you pass a kindergarten class after you're in 6th grade. You don't have to pass those tests. It's okay.
Now, the only question or the only caveat I would add to that is, if you are trying to get a job that is looking for somebody who is at least A+ certified, then having the credential could be your ticket in.
Yep.
So, but once you get in the door and to the recruiting, that's when you get to say, yeah, okay, it was totally easy. I scored a 900. I know this stuff backwards and forwards. You really want to hire me. So there you go.
Good call.
But go ahead.
Good. Samuel J. Ruiz has a personal experience. Total Tester Sim feels like a BuzzFeed quiz, and CompTIA 1002 feels like MCATs. Okay.
So I
accept that comment on face value, at face value.
So I think what he's talking about is the materials that CompTIA is producing that compete with us are more difficult. I think that's the takeaway from our total sims. So the total tester, the total sims are designed. We know what the performance-based questions are, right? We and our competitors know what they are. And so we produce stuff that will be similar enough that when you see these questions on the actual CompTIA A+ Net Plus exams, that you won't be thrown off at all, and you'll get them, and that's great. If we produced a total total sims product that only had 10 questions in it, nobody would buy it. So we looked at the medium and said, this is a good place for us to be able to teach all these different command line commands, that it would be tedious to try and do them in writing, but we can create an entire sandbox that you can, without fear of destruction, run all kinds of commands, command line commands. And so we created sims on all these things. So they're not necessarily complicated so much as to give you a chance at a different aspect, a different way of learning the same material. So they are definitely supplementary to our other tools, and that's by design.
And I want to add one quick thing here so that there's no confusion. Scott's right. We know what the sim questions that they're asking are, but it's not because CompTIA told us what they are. They don't tell anybody. We know it for the same reason that you know it. I went and took this test and I saw a sim question about firewalls. And when I got done, well, I can't expose that question to anybody. I can remember it and I can design a simulation that is very similar to it without crossing any lines. So same goes for any question on the test. Nobody's given them to us. CompTIA doesn't give them to anybody, but we learn them the same way as you guys do, off the streets and research and taking the exams and paying unswarthy people, unsavory people. 1995, Texas Aggie drove past there twice, Sunday and Monday. Good to see Aggie land. Cold to the air, the fastest speed of sound explains why this Texan had trouble communicating with people from New Jersey. Man, that's harsh, dude.
So that the language difference is pretty dramatic in different parts of the U.S. I taught one of my favorite classes ever. I got to teach a week and a half long class at the United Nations in New York, and I had 18 students, and the weirdest classroom setup ever. It was a round table with the center cut out. And so I had to teach in this continuous.
Wow.
Spin. It was
in the round.
And of those 18 people, all of them, I could understand all of them. And English was not their native language, except for the guy from New Jersey. I just died trying to go, awesome. I am so not getting your accent. And somebody else would have to translate. You know, it was crazy. It's crazy.
That's awesome. Deepak, I'm with you. Big fan of B2 and F-35. Very happy, Dr. Quinn. That's right, Simon. Nice to see you. You missed it. I try and do some kind of little different background every time we do these AMAs. So here, let me introduce you ever so quickly. That's Clyde. And there's a long story behind him. And when we have time, we've only got about 30 minutes left in here. I will tell you the story of Clyde. Hang on, my camera's going to go wacky while Scott takes over.
And then, of course, the initial question that came up when introducing Clyde is, where's Bonnie? So hopefully we will get that answer someday soon.
There we go. Okay.
And Debbie actually answered that.
Debbie answered for me. Thank you, Debbie. David Innocenzi, given the strict online proctoring, does it make sense to take the test in person when available to eliminate heightened protocol proctor suspicion due to the limitations of the webcam? I like taking them on site, but I don't believe that that's available in most. I'm going to turn my camera again for a second. Sorry. It does not appear to be an option right now. To my knowledge, there is no, there we go. Pearson VUE that has on-site testing right now that I know of, Scott.
There are some independent contractors who have opened.
Right.
But I don't know how common they are where you are. And
there's not tons of reports of people being aced out. There are a few reports. There always are, but there's also a few reports every year of people who get thrown out of a physical thing because the violations that they choose to take. You are technically not supposed to wear headgear, no hat, even if it's got religious significance or cultural significance to it. They're supposed to make you take that stuff off. And some people say, tough bananas, I'll either fail out of the test or walk out or whatever. It's unusual, it's very rare, but there's some rules that some people envision as kind of draconian. That's their rules, play by them or don't.
So Deepak asked, what softwares are most commonly used for protection from virus and cyber threats? Is there anything other than my brain that can prevent a computer from being hacked? So virus, the built-in tools in Microsoft Windows and Mac OS, unless you click on some weird link or answer that phishing email, you should be fine. So educating yourself and using your brain, that's your best tool on antivirus to go in conjunction with the tools that Microsoft and Apple already provide. As far as what can prevent cyber threats, the firewalls, Windows has a great firewall. The firewalls on your router that you're using to connect to the internet or connect to a cable modem or fiber connector, those firewalls are excellent too. It's, for the most part, people in the industry who you buy things from don't want you to get hacked, right? They don't want you to get messed up, because then you're not their paying customer anymore. So every ISP I know provides pretty robust tools, and it's up to you at that point not to do the dumb thing, right? If you start going into sketchy sites, looking for that perfectly legal copy of Linux to download that just happens to be a little cinematic, you can bounce into some really hairy sites, and that is a way of doing damage to your system. But that's your choice, Deepak. So yeah, again, it's your brain. That's our best tool.
If you want to scale this up, much of what Scott says fits very well with small business and home installation. When you start talking about enterprise level stuff, then there are also more advanced tools, dedicated firewall and proxy boxes, and they have subscription services that will download today's research and reports and block different sites and different things. So also a valid tool.
Right, absolutely.
Deepak agrees that poli-sci is not a waste of time. Master's in CompTIA or IT requires you to have completed certain higher level computer IT courses in undergrad. Maybe. There are different approaches to that, but that can be true. And GIAC is just in case. Thanks. Deepak is with us. A+, Net+, Sec+. Greetings, Falak. Falak. I always pronounce that backwards first time. Nice to see you, sir. Hey, look at that. David Nanasenzi posted Dr. Sanger's code for us. So if you want to get your CompTIA discount vouchers from them, SecurityWeb 2020 JS, valid until, farther back than I thought, 11/1 of 2020. Thank you. I'm going to copy paste that and save that for my own handy dandy records.
So Balak asks, I'm having difficulty differentiating between data custodian and data steward. Could you kindly explain that, please? So data custodian is responsible for data that is in use and transport, and where that data is stored. Yeah, okay, so the data custodian is sort of sets up the whole thing, the structure for how all the data is stored and saved and everything else. The data steward is responsible for the specific data that's stored. So there's a lot of overlap, and in a small enough company, that's the same person, right? Same role, really. But yeah, one role sets the structure of it, that's the custodian, and the other is responsible for the actual day-to-day maintenance of it. That's the steward.
Excellent explanation. Very succinct. ITF Plus is required for anybody who is pursuing A+ and has no background in IT. Yeah, that's kind of what Scott said. Well done.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, Dr. Quinn posted that as well. Thank you, Dr. Quinn.
Dr. Quinn, sure. Sorry. Dr. Quinn said, can you please mention the time stamp when you read the question? Ouch, that's a no-brainer. And of course, she asked that at 3:19.
just exactly what the one I was looking at.
So yeah, of course. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's a good call.
That's a very good suggestion.
Okay, so at 329 Choco Tacos, Scott and Dave, I have a Dell PowerEdge 2900 tower server. Is it wise to use this in any capacity for home use? Why not? You know, what are you using it for? Do you need the power of a server? Is it a multi-processor server? Does it have a drive array with 37 terabytes attached to it? Do you need that at home? But when you get down to it, it runs Windows. So if you can tolerate the noise, a lot of server boxes come with some pretty hefty fans that make a fair amount of jet noise on them. But yeah, I picked up a couple of servers a couple of years ago and ran them here in the house, and I abandoned them for several reasons. One, the noise, and two, they're like every other computer. They age out, newer, better things come along. But yeah, why not? Ian. Oh, Tullowit. That's for you, Scott, at 333.
Right. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law too, for that matter, both live in Hawaii and have for 40 plus years. And my brother-in-law went native. So he speaks in the Hawaiian sing-song slang. And we went to a family reunion there a couple of years back, and it was like, what are you saying, brother? Because I don't understand anything. Yeah, luckily he could switch back into standard American English, but yeah. Pigeon, thank you. Hello, yes.
I was watching a sitcom, a rerun of a sitcom the other day, and somebody brought out a ukulele and was discussing it. And there's a very politically correct character and a very right-winger character, and they have all the sitcom-y type clashes. And our less conservative individual says, what do you got there? And the right winger says, it's the ukulele you gave me a while back. And he kind of folded arms and said, we've gone over this before. How many times do I tell you it's an ukulele? And I looked it up, and sure enough, it is. And it's the first time I've ever heard the word in 57 or so years of banging around on this planet. And it just never dawned on me that there could be a Hawaiian pronunciation for the thing. So now I'm double checking every time I run across a word that looks like it has Hawaiian origin to make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Absolutely.
And
we just call them the mighty uke.
Just so I can say it regularly. Hey guys, we're gonna need some questions or we're gonna fade here. So we only got 2 or 3 left in this pile, or
right.
I will inundate you with some horrible presentation that will terrify you. That's really cool, actually.
Elbow has a question.
Okay.
Is there any danger in opening a scam or phishing email?
Well, let's just stop there and say, no, you should do it all the time. It's completely safe.
Where's the danger only in clicking the link or attachments?
I like that one because the answers kind of morph over time based on the way people use email. So if you're using standard local client email, Outlook, Thunderbird, all of those kinds of things, it is possible, just looking at a preview of the thing by clicking on the title of the email, that you can introduce an infection. Now, good firewalls and good security built into, that's getting better and better into these local client ones, tends to reduce that risk. And only if you actually click on the attachment will it auto launch, if it's an auto launch and auto infection kind of thing. Whereas if you're using web-based stuff, until you click the download link on the attachment, it's perfectly safe for your computer. Now somebody's going to argue, no, I clicked on one and I viewed it without downloading it and my system screwed up. Okay, I'll take that as possible, but that's rare, and that's one of those exception proves the rule kind of thing. But yeah, if you're clicking on anything, downloading it or doing anything to get the software that's associated with it into your computer, of course it's a risk. Start looking over those emails. When you see an email that looks suspect for any reason, you just won $1 million in the British lottery, or anybody else, I'm waiting to deliver you something, anything that you question, first thing to do is go look at the actual email address of the sender, not their name, Bob from IBM, but when you look at their email address and it says 127B9324 at something.ru, pretty likely IBM doesn't have a domain at something.ru. So, and at that point, you know, if you're curious, go do some research outside beyond that. But for my purposes, when I see that kind of junk, I don't need the research. It's scam, it's a flam, delete, gone, bye-bye. There's
Absolutely.
good classes out there on how to identify spams and scams and phishers. Brendan, there we go, getting a little bit more feed. Lost this. Okay,
Oh,
so 337, Brendan, I was answering. Okay, elbow. Outlook allows you to view message source and kind of
Right.
shows you the code and you can see the body of the message. Right. I definitely, if I suspect something, but I'm not sure, I go in and start by researching the full header. If I see any kind of bizarre domain that I don't recognize, and it's still possible, then I start researching that domain with Google searches and other third-party online searches. So yeah, there's always a chance that something's legit, but you got to dig pretty hard and they're pretty rare.
So if Chaco Taco asked if at 3:43, if you could tell us about your skeleton, Dave, I want to answer Tulowit's question.
Go ahead.
And then let you roll on.
All right, yeah, we got a minute or two. We'll talk about.
But so Tulowit asks at 3:43, do either of you guys do we build our own PCs? Really? What do you think the answer is? Are you AMD or Intel guys? Favorite GPU brand? That's very specific. You want to go first, Dave? You want me to?
You said you wanted to answer that one first, so go get them.
Okay. So yes, I build my own PCs. That's part of the passion of doing this whole thing for me. I love the custom rigs. I like the research involved in finding the right case and the right motherboard and the right CPU, and that right CPU is an AMD Ryzen. Bang for their buck. Poor Intel. They were on top for so long, but that, as far as like performance for the cost, you can't beat the Ryzen right now. I run a Ryzen 5 3600X in my personal system, which is half a generation behind or something like that at this point. But it rocks, absolutely rocks. And it's quiet, even with the built-in fan or the stock fan. Absolutely love it. As far as, I have nothing against Intel CPUs. Intel makes fabulous CPUs. Just as far as the price, I can do more with AMD. As far as the brand of GPU, I'm a little bit more of a, I can't use that word on air. I'm not wedded to any one brand, let's call it that. And in fact, NVIDIA, right, is the total answer right there. So then it's a matter of who's building the best, quietest, fastest GPU video card based on the best NVIDIA GPU that I can afford at that time. And, you know, it's part of the joy of this, doing the research and, you know, hitting one side against the other and going, okay, well, if that one little tweak, you know, this, and always know that whatever you buy is going to be $10 cheaper the next week. You know, somebody's going to come out with a tweak on it. So for example, I'm running a GeForce 1080 in my system right now. But when we built my son's gaming rig over the summer, or last summer, we got him a 2070 because we could, yeah. Right? But yeah. So as far as brands, I think my current GPU is a Zotac. I've got Gigabyte, Asus. I have a lot of computers, by the way, just in case you're curious. Yeah. So a bunch of different brands, but as long as they're based on the right spec, I'm happy.
Sounds good. I'm about 80% with Scott on that. Everybody whose names you've encountered on these sites from Total Sim, we build our own geek stuff. And we do it mostly for the same reason. And there's more. So we're creating examples for people. Hey, you want to build a rig? Here's some ideas for you. You've got to balance budget. You've got to balance performance. You got to balance availability. You've got to balance longevity. I got the word wrong there. I'm
Longevity.
apparently longevity. Thank you. A little bit. Honest to gosh, they're just throat lozenges, I think. So yeah, I love the research and I love building rigs. I built a rig a couple of years ago. It's been a long time since I built a performance rig. So I took this one as a special challenge. It's called, I'm going to give myself a year to build the best, powerfulest rig I can for the cheapest amount of money. And that means buying used in a lot of cases. And after that entire year, when I got kind of close to the end, there was only 2 things that I had to buy brand new. And it was a great rig for a couple of years. And then I upgraded it because I couldn't max it based on the budget that I had. Still sitting around, he still does his job. And I'm like, Scott, we got zillions of machines around. So that's a ton of fun. Video, Intel versus AMD. So I'm not married to any particular one, but I've been an Intel guy forever. And I know that right now AMD is rioting higher than Intel. And from the announcements that came out from Intel the other day, it's going to be 2022 before we see them truly performance per dollar competitive, assuming AMD doesn't continue to lead where AMD is, Intel is. But I am such a strong supporter of Intel that additional performance that's available through the Ryzen isn't enough for me to say, I'm going to switch. I like Intel, and so it makes me happy. For AMD or Radeon / AMD versus NVIDIA, for me, I'm an NVIDIA guy. But I want to do one thing to remind everybody something important about these 2 providers of video cards, and that is that they don't sell video cards. When you go out and buy an NVIDIA card, it wasn't made by NVIDIA. It was designed and a prototype and a production model was made, but then it's licensed to Zotac, EVGA, Gigabyte, Asus, and all those others. So they make it, and they can make one that matches the reference model. And by the way, we used to call reference models, and they've changed that name. So if you buy a Pioneer edition, at least from NVIDIA, that's their current name for a reference model. It says you can go ahead and duplicate this and get reference model cooling fans for it, and the holes will be all in the right places. Or these manufacturers can license them with permission to add features to them, make them overclockable, and all those other cool, neat things, add more memory to them. But I like NVIDIA licensed stuff, and I like EVGA, and I like Asus. But most of the other good popular brand names, just as fine. More power to them.
Absolutely. So a lot of people are agreeing with or disagreeing with me.
I see some strong agreement as well.
And of course, Telowit pointed out the obvious. What kind of hardware you prefer, Dave? Obviously, ARM with the Pi. But at 349, Telowit asked, "What kind of system do we do our video editing on?" And the answer might surprise you. Our entire video production team is on very high-end Macs. So
that's not exclusive. We got some PCs back there too.
Yes.
They do pre-processing on them, and they do branding and L3s. So yeah, you're right. I mean, the core super stuff is all there, but they can run Premiere on a Mac and they can run Premiere on a PC, and we do a lot of Premiere stuff.
But if you ask which machines they prefer to run them on,
okay,
it's high-end Macs for sure. Greg Davis, I've been only AMD since Cyrix.
Yeah, so there you go. Everybody's got their taste.
That's right.
You know what? They all seem to work and are functional.
So Z asks, what's the difference between USB Type A and Type B?
You want it?
Sure. So Type A is the thing that plugs into your computer. Type B plugs into your peripheral.
There you go.
So the Type A, Do I have a cable hanging around here?
I got one.
Type A is the flat rectangular one. Type B is a much more squarish looking one. And the versions that you'll see, like the mini B and the micro B and the micro A, all of those are simply designed to go into either into the computer or laptop or into the peripheral. So A for the computer, B for peripheral.
Okay.
And then
we got an A and a B right here. And of course, there's mini versions of those and micro versions of those.
And the beauty of Type C that we're all moving to is it doesn't matter which end you plug in. So it's the same on both ends, and the craziness is going away finally.
Yay. Yeah, USB connectors are no longer quantum variables where they have two ends, but you have to plug them in 3 times in different ways to get it right.
Well, an elbow. Yes, the high-end NVIDIA RTX cards are expensive. Yes, that's why, unless you have a need for it, you don't go buy the super top of the line, or you have deep pockets, right?
Sure.
Tom's Hardware is a great site for comparing the latest and greatest hardware. They keep up on that pretty seriously. So definitely, if you're looking, that would be cool.
I'm going to try and power through these. We got about 4 minutes, 3.5.
The very last question, the comment, Elbow, I have deep pockets, but they're empty.
Yeah, well, you're not supposed to cut holes in them, bud. Trying to save new, better video card too. I run a 980 in my editing machine. I don't do the production professional level editing that we do at the office, but for the videos that I do, that works great.
So it looks like we got.
Yeah, I think we kind of nailed this. Destroy the Macs, not join them. Bring my AMD war banner to the battlefield.
So yeah,
that's the holy war. When anybody asks the question, Intel or AMD, it's kind of like asking about which political side are you in the U.S. There's no middle ground.
There is only the right ground, and by that I mean the correct ground.
Right.
No politics, right? That's the rule here.
Nope. Right. Tell what's got it. USB-C means no quantum mechanics.
That's right. And a couple of comments on we should do a PC build video.
And I'm thinking we have.
We definitely have.
More than 1 or 2.
But when was the last one I did? It's been several years though. So we should do another one. And just a straight up. Yeah.
It's real easy.
Of course.
Take Raspberry Pi, put in case, add power.
Yes, that's easy, Dave. And on Friday, those of you who don't know, Dave teaches a 2-hour Ask Dave Anything, a drama class that is based on the Raspberry Pi, which is a great system. It runs Linux, so it's a great tool for learning all of your Linux commands for A+, Net+, Security+, and it's a fun and relatively inexpensive computer that you can pick up for a song. So,
and for everything else, remember we've got a discount on standalone Total Tester products, good through Sunday night, the 9th, whatever the heck date that is. Pick a Total Tester online course from any of the zillions of practice test courses that we have. It's called them practice tests. And then use the code MM Live Yellowstone on checkout, and you're getting them for 50%. So really, really good closeout. You know what, Elbow says, Dave, you should totally mount a Raspberry Pi in a full-size ATX. I have come to believe and understand one thing about living in the future as we do. Every good idea that you come up with has already been done. And I know that one's been done many, many times. But yeah.
Very fun.
Did we
Looks like
close this thing off on time? It'd be unusual for at least me.
we're right on time.
Yeah. Okay, so you got the
Absolutely.
code
And
up.
you all are very welcome. Thank you so much for participating in the AMA today. Mike was sorry that he couldn't be here, but he decided to drink adult beverages in Napa Valley instead.
Got his priorities totally in order. Well, thanks for all of you. Many thanks to Scott. Many thanks to Michael Smyer in the background and all the people that come together to support this thing. Hope to see you on Friday. And after that, we'll do it again on Monday. Nobody knows where Mike will be. He kind of makes up his trip as he goes along. But if he's someplace where he can get a good internet connection, he'll be here. And if not, you'll see one or several of us. So do the grand goodbye.
Yep, we're going to say goodbye. Ready?
All right, goodbye all.
Bye.